What is this awful dish? I could tell just from one bite. Miranda, for all your big talk, you clearly don't put in any effort. Emma, my mill, said so and headed to the sink with her plate. Her face red in anger, she dumped it out. Don't stress out an older person like me anymore. I was too stunned to react to Emma's outburst. But then, I'm Miranda. After graduating from university, I met Jordan at the company I worked for, and we've been married for 3 years now. After getting married, I quit my job and have been helping my friend run a nail salon with the nail technician certification I got during my office worker days. Jordan, despite his busy work schedule, always finds time for our quality time, and even helps out with chores over the weekend without me asking. While many couples have their ups and downs, I always felt grateful for having such a wonderful husband. However, there's one thing that bothers me. It was Emma and Mason, my Mill and Phil. They didn't live with us, but they lived in a condo about a 30-minute drive away in the suburbs. With all of Jordan's siblings having moved out, they often visited us, probably feeling lonely. Their frequent visits, however, had been quite a nuisance. At first, I tolerated it, but over time, they started to pick on me more, especially when Jordan wasn't around. They criticized my actions, imposed their values, and so on. I could go on, but it baffled me how parents like these could raise such a wonderful son like Jordan. I was incredibly stressed out dealing with my in-laws, even if on a weekday they came over early in the morning. Miranda, I checked your fridge. What's with those cheap-looking make-ahead meals? Huh? Mason plopped down on the sofa to watch TV, while Emma beckoned me to the kitchen. I thought she was going to complain about the cleaning again, but this time it was about my make-ahead meals. You can't expect Jordan to be satisfied with such bland meals. You focus too much on your nails and forget your duties as a wife. But I prepare a variety of dishes, and Jordan needs to watch his health too. I thought my menu was quite varied. My dishes aren't as bland as Emma claims, but for my in-laws, who prefer heavy dishes, my cooking would seem to lack taste. To me, Emma's dishes are so greasy and either too sweet or too salty that I worry about the health effects of eating them regularly. Jordan also often joked about how he had to force himself to eat them as a kid. But Emma, unaware of this, always brought her own dishes when she came to our house. I had a feeling she'd do the same that day, and sure enough, she made a surprising remark. You're always complaining. Anyway, I've thrown out your tasteless food. You threw it away. Yes. So, tonight, let Jordan eat the meal I brought. He'll be thrilled. I was shocked, and I checked the kitchen trash and found my make-ahead meals carelessly discarded. I knew they were picky about food, but I never imagined they'd go this far. I was too stunned to react. Seeing this, Mason sighed and added his 2 cents. It's pathetic. Emma was much more efficient when she was younger. A wife should know her husband's preferences and cater to them. But that's not the point. Stop whining. Miranda, you should occasionally ask Emma for cooking tips. Go and bring me some coffee. Saying that, Mason went back to watching TV. You should think and act on your own. Emma was much more diligent even before getting married. Honestly, young people these days. Yes, I'm sorry. Before Mason's usual rant about the younger generation began, I served coffee on the table. He took a sip with another sigh, but honestly, I felt like sighing too. In the end, they stayed for hours, making a mess as if it was their own home. It was usual for them to act as they please, but that day I was genuinely shocked by their audacity in discarding someone else's food. When I discussed this with Jordan during dinner, he apologized with a guilty look. I always warn them, but they seem to think they can say or ask anything of you. They don't take me seriously. I'll call them again later. Yay. I know I should be more assertive. I'm sorry. It's not your fault, Jordan. But we can't go on like this. Yay, especially since you're working too. Jordan often reprimanded his parents for going too far. But since he's generally kind-hearted, his words didn't seem to have much effect on the brazen Emma and Mason. When Jordan reprimanded them, they usually refrained from visiting for a few days. During that time, I was able to help out at my friend's nail salon, but it was only temporary. After a few days, they started visiting frequently again. and because of Jordan's complaints, they suspected I was influencing him and complained about it, which was even more annoying. A few days after Jordan's call, as expected, they barged into our home early in the morning. It was Saturday, but unfortunately, Jordan got an unexpected call from work and wasn't home. Did you complain to Jordan? He seemed forced to say those things. Po him. There was no way he would have told us to hold off on coming here. Exactly. If there's an issue, we prefer to hear it directly. Their sarcastic remarks were clearly directed at me. As I began to think that talking to these two was futile, Emma, as if remembering something, began to unzip a large cooler bag. I had a bad feeling when I saw her carrying it earlier. It was filled with various ingredients, and I immediately realized what Emma intended to do. I thought I'd cook a hearty meal today. With the kind of meals you prepare, Jordan must be exhausted every day. Saying that, Emma began to cook with enthusiasm. I sighed, thinking about the mess she'd make in the kitchen. Glancing inside the cooler bag, I noticed all the ingredients looked quite expensive. I was taken aback by the price on the meat's packaging. Seeing my reaction, Emma chuckled with a smug look. You probably always shop at those cheap places. To make truly delicious food, you need quality ingredients. But we can't splurge on groceries. We have to think about the future. Oh, are you worried about such trivial things? Isn't it your job to support that? Why are you even working as a nail technician or whatever that is? I was too stunned by Mason's insensitivity to even get angry. Actually, these two rely so much on Jordan's financial support that they barely make ends meet. How could they afford such expensive ingredients? And now they're belittling my job. Exactly what Mason said. A couple should support each other, and worrying too much is just toxic. Remember that. Okay. I wanted to scream that talking to them was the real toxin, but I managed to hold back my tears and forced a smile to get through the situation. If I had to live with these people with such different values, our finances would surely be a mess. Though that thought crossed my mind, Jordan isn't the eldest son, and he even once said with a wry smile, living with my parents would be a bit too much. So, I thought we wouldn't live together, and was only considering how to tactfully keep them at bay. However, the situation took a sudden turn. One Saturday morning, the doorbell rang, and when I checked the intercom, Emma and Mason were there. Again, I thought, but behind them were several people who looked like movers, and they were holding some boxes. I instantly understood what this meant and was speechless. What? Good morning. Well, we've decided to live here from today. We never discussed this. Well, we've already moved out of our old place, and the movers are here. Miranda, you're in the way, move. They acted as if it was their own home, giving orders to the movers. The movers seemed confused by my reaction, but under the pressure from Emma and Mason, they began their work. Soon, a sleepy Jordan came out, surprised by the commotion. He had not heard about moving beforehand either. Hey, Mom, Dad, what's going on? It's a surprise. We're moving in. They surprise. This is too sudden. We'll be living here from today. There's a spare room, right? Well, yes, but that's for when we have kids. Jordan tried to argue with Emma, but Mason interrupted with a fierce look. So, what? Are you going to abandon us? Leave your own parents? Their intensity left both Jordan and me frozen. Their words were absurd, but frustratingly, we couldn't retort. Miranda, what should we do? Jordan whispered to me. I wasn't strong enough to refuse them in this situation. Well, I'm fine with that if it's just until we have kids. Humph, fine. But I bet when you have kids, you'll come running to me for help. I doubt you can handle parenting properly. Thankfully, Jordan stepped in to reprimand Emma at that point. She looked annoyed but still had the audacity to enter the house with Mason. Watching the boxes being brought in one after another, Jordan and I sighed, dreading the days ahead. And just like that, in an unimaginable turn of events, I ended up living with my in-laws. It was hell. With Mason and Emma around all day, I never felt at ease. They constantly interfered with my chores and even started criticizing my job. Miranda, are you heading to work again? Yes, I'll be back in the early evening. Before I could finish, Emma frowned and sighed in annoyance. You're so dedicated to such a trivial job. Must be nice, just playing with other people's nails and getting paid. Back in my day, I didn't have such luxuries. Emma always belittled me while emphasizing her own hardships. I was already irritated, and her snide remarks before heading to work didn't help. I'm off. Huh. Are you sulking? You're such a turbo dil. I quickly left without even faking a smile, and it seemed Emma was also irritated. Returning from work, I noticed something amiss. Wait, isn't that my nail kit? From the entrance, I could see a mess in the yard. It was clearly the nail kit I kept for practice at home. My work tools were carelessly thrown on the lawn. Nail tips were scattered everywhere, and it was no longer usable in terms of hygiene. Oh, sorry about that. It was in the way while cleaning, so I threw it outside. Emma called out to me with a sarcastic tone. I was too upset to respond, and just cleaned up my nail kit in tears. From that day, I started contemplating ways to give my in-laws a taste of their own medicine. A little while after this tumultuous start, I discovered I was pregnant. While my in-laws were genuinely happy about the upcoming grandchild, the current living situation was fraught with tension. Jordan suggested communicating with them, emphasizing that the child's needs come first. If needed, they might have to move out or go live with one of his siblings. They did nothing but complain and laze around all day without helping with any chores. I couldn't imagine them assisting with taking care of a child. I decided to confront them about all the issues I had with them, and so we all sat down for dinner, which was rare since we usually ate separately. Jordan thought it would be the best time to discuss things. That day, both Mason and Emma happened to be out, which made it a perfect time for preparations. That day, since Mason and Emma were out, I tried to cook the dishes they like. When they returned in the evening, our dinner and discussion began. Jordan started. Hey, I wanted to talk about something. No. What is it? Well, Miranda's pregnant, and our current living situation is getting tight. So, I was thinking, maybe you guys could move to another place, or go live with my brother. What do you think? As expected, their faces darkened. Why now? With a baby on the way, more hands would be helpful, right? Sure, if you're actually going to help, but will you really assist with the baby? What are you saying? It's tough raising a child. Having someone experienced like me would surely help, right, Miranda? Emma, seemingly anxious about the possibility of being kicked out, tried to engage me in conversation. Normally, I'd just give a wry smile and let it go, but the image of my precious nail kit discarded in the yard was fresh in my mind. My anger grew, and with Jordan's reassuring presence, I shot them both a stern look. Jordan probably hoped for a calm discussion, but I couldn't let things end without expressing my feelings. You both just barged into our home without any notice, and all you do is laze around or go out. Not only that, but you belittle my job and even threw my work tools in the yard. I can't possibly believe that people like you would genuinely help with raising a child. It's not good for the child. The two stared at me, their faces a mix of shock and anger. What on earth are you saying? Exactly. You're about to become a mother, and you're fussing over such trivial matters. Hey, is what Merkin is saying true? Jordan, who had been silent, spoke up in a low voice. It was in an angry tone. The two, sensing his anger, were visibly shaken. Jordan, don't get mad over such small things. You're about to become a father. Exactly. And what is this awful dish? I could tell just from one bite. Miranda, for all your big talk, you clearly don't put in any effort. Emma said so and headed to the sink with her plate. Her face red in anger, she dumped it out. Don't stress out an older person like me anymore. I was too stunned to react to Emma's outburst. But then, enough is enough. Jordan, who was sitting next to me, suddenly stood up and slammed the table. Both Emma and Mason flinched, and so did I. Jordan is usually calm and never gets angry. But he was now furious at his own parents. I thought living together might change you too, but I've been presuming on Miranda's goodwill too much. I can't forgive you for trampling on her dignity. Right now, the most important people to me are Miranda and our child. I can't live with you two anymore if you can't respect that. Don't ever show your faces here again. The intensity of his words left not only Emma and Mason but also me in shock. Jordan sighed at his parents who are not trying to move at all, and he began moving their belongings out of their room. Realizing that arguing with Jordan in his current state was futile, the two begrudgingly started packing. "You ungrateful child, you'll regret this one day." They told him so as they left, and it sounded like sour grapes. After they left, Jordan immediately apologized to me, but I felt more like thanking him. As for Emma and Mason, after being kicked out of our home, they tried to move in with Jordan's elder brother. However, they had always had a strained relationship with Jordan's siblings, and unsurprisingly, they clashed there too. Moreover, the elder brother's wife, unlike me, was quite assertive and heavily criticized Emma and Mason's reckless spending and insensitivity. After being kicked out from there, they moved from one cheap hotel to another and now live in an old studio apartment. Given their history of lavish spending, they're obviously broke and can't afford luxuries anymore. When Jordan's elder brother happened to see them in the neighborhood, he was shocked at their pitiful state, looking emaciated and lost. On the other hand, I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and life has been smooth sailing. Jordan, despite his work, is full of energy and spends quality time with our child every day. Raising a child is indeed challenging, but recalling my feelings during pregnancy, I'm determined to do my best without relying on those two. Also, my friend who I work for as a nail technician mentioned opening another nail salon. She told me she wants me to be a manager if I'm available. It's a plan for when our child is a bit older, but I deeply appreciate that I continued with this job no matter what I was told by my in-laws, and cherish the joy it brings. I plan to continue living each day at my own pace, always grateful for the courage Jordan and I showed that day.